Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unity at the Palm Beaches virtual streaming service for Sunday, June 28th, 2020. And now, here's Reverend Taylor Stevens.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on our virtual celebration service. I welcome you to this experience. Thank you for being here, for being a part of this. Let's pray together, shall we? So let's drop our attention down inside of us, down into the heart space in that sacred heart center where there is no distance, no separation, no division at all. So even while we are physically apart, we are forever, eternally joined within the one field, within the one heart. And as we breathe into that awareness and as we focus our attention in this moment, in this connection, in this opportunity to be here, to be together, to be at one, we dedicate this time, each and every moment of this joining, to allowing our consciousness to be uplifted, multiplied, amplified. As we shine forth together, we do so as light consciousness shining forth into our world because we choose to be here and to be together. All of creation benefits. We celebrate the contribution we make. We are grateful, and so it is. Amen. All right, and again, welcome and thank you for being a part of this, our daily word for June 28th, 2020. Perhaps you're having the same experience as I am, or at least a similar experience when you hear the date, June 28th. Wow, right? How did we get there already? How did we get here? So anyway, our daily word for today is will. Will. The affirmation, spiritual understanding guides my will. Hear that again. Spiritual understanding guides my will. The text for today. Each day I use my will to make decisions big and small that affect the quality and direction of my life. Through the use of my human will, I may make choices out of fear or a sense of lack, or I may be driven by my desire for convenience, comfort, or the pleasures of the moment. The use of my spiritual will, however, directs my choices toward a greater awareness of my divine nature. As I grow spiritually, I use my will to shine my Christ's light even more brightly. I grow in willingness to co-create with God as I release my willfulness to do everything on my own. As I live more intentionally from my divinity, the light of spiritual understanding dawns within me and directs my will. The scripture for today from Joshua. I hereby command you, be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Maybe we'll hear that again. Really listen to it with your heart center, with the wisdom and the genius that already knows this to be true. I hereby command you, this is a prophet, be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed, for the Lord your God, the law For the Lord your God is within you and wherever you go. Will, spiritual understanding guides my will. And Trish will sing us into our time of meditation.
When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray.
So as we hear the beauty of that voice, the beauty of that lyric, that invites us down into the heart. Down into this moment. A heart and a moment that can include everything. So we return to those ideas within our daily word, the human will, the divine will. The human will so wants to control, even in this experience, wants to control the sounds, wants to control the thoughts, wants to demand that this experience be a certain way so that peace can be the result. And yet, the divine will, the highest place that is already within us, knows deeply that this moment is already perfect. That whatever sounds or distractions may occur, everything is happening within Source. Within God itself. And so we will to will. So I invite you to really be aware, just be aware of the thoughts that naturally continue to arise. It is the nature of mind to think. So we watch wakefully. Just allowing those thoughts to pass through the field of awareness. Becoming more and more spacious. More open, allowing. Feel the breath. Feel the heart. Feel the prayer. The breath. The heart. The prayer. Be still and know. Be still. And as we begin to gently, slowly, allow the attention to expand and to include the ideas, the sounds, the words, we do so still aware of the underlying stillness. And so it is. Amen.
It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us by and by. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us by and by. It's in every one of us. I just remember, it's like I've been sleeping for years. I'm not awake as I can be, but my seeing is better. I can see through the tears. I've been realizing that I bought this ticket and I'm watching only half of the show. There is scenery and lights and a cast of thousands who all know what I know. And it's good that it's so. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart and open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us by and by. It's in every one of us by and by.
Thank you, Trish. I'm sure you'll agree with me that it's wonderful to be able to hear and to see Trish in this this new platform, this new technology that Tim, her husband, Tim Yancey, found for us and is running for us. So what a great blessing. That song, I've known that song for many, many years, and it occurred to me relatively recently. I just remembered that song, and it's such an incredible, profound, simple but profound message. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us, by and by. You know, it's hard now to really fully recollect where I was dwelling in consciousness when I first heard that song. My sense is that it's in every one of us was far more conceptual than it is now for me. And I really believe that that's part of a big part of what is happening, what is emerging, what is arising, and what even seems to be erupting in human consciousness right now is that it is in every one of us. And if we last week we talked about the father image and the images of paternal images of source, which can be helpful and useful in terms of bringing a personal to what is principle. So it's both, but those parental images can indeed allow us to have this kind of personal, intimate, even embodied sense of source. Those images can also be profoundly limiting, as I believe I said last week, based on what your experience of the father and the mother, what those experiences were like for you. So we're still in a long period of human history where that father image, the paternal, paternalistic, that has governed humanity for centuries now. And so we have in the Abrahamic traditions in particular, we have this paternal notion of what God the Father is. And so, so as we begin to evolve beyond that, we are going to have to loosen our grip on this father that is somehow outside of us, pulling strings, if you will, making things happen that are somehow independent of us. We pray to this God to fix the problems that we have caused by virtue of our beliefs in this source. We are told that we are made in the image and likeness of our source, and unfortunately, with tragic consequences, we have returned that favor. And so all of human suffering comes from this human miscreation of what our source is. Right now, we are being called to know that rather than he or she, it's both, but though it seems somehow diminishing, perhaps this source is the great, all-intelligent, all-loving it. It is in every one of us. And as long as anyone, any living being, any living thing is shoved to the margins, is somehow negated, is diminished, as long as that is happening, we cannot know the fullness of our source. We cannot know that it is in every one of us. We are like puzzle pieces that are meant to come back together into a picture of one. That consciousness, God consciousness, is one. It is the great it, and it has entered into time and space reality and is seeking to be known in time and space reality as the great living it. So as I I remember the confusion and when I first heard 30 plus years ago at Unity of New York, my home Unity, the great Eric Butterworth, I'm hearing that life is consciousness. And I had no idea what that meant. Mid to late 80s, I, as opposed to, I'm sure all of you, I did not come to Unity because I was happy or because everything was working or because my spirituality was something that really sustained me. I came to Unity in a great deal of pain and with a lot of darkness. And so I came to Unity, and it was a very remarkable path that got me there. But I started going, and I started hearing this notion that life is consciousness. And then I heard this one idea that I got to tell you, every time they would say it, I would just tie myself into a knot because I had no idea what they were talking about. And I actually later, when I began to make friends in the Unity movement and at Unity of New York in particular, there was one woman in particular who could not tolerate this idea. It was the same one that really bugged me. So I'm going to share it with you today. And probably in this group, you all get it. But if there's one or two of you who don't, breathe with me into it. So this is the thing that they would say at Unity of New York. I am an eachness in the allness. I am an eachness in the allness. And I would listen to that. So they say, life is consciousness. I am an eachness in the all. I have no idea what that means. And they would say it, and I would go, stop saying that. I can't stand that when you say that. I don't know what that, but see, now I can so appreciate that all of the resistance I had to hearing that was my own ignorance. I didn't understand that. And I got to tell you that it makes me really giggle that in the past, probably the decade or so in my spirituality now, I so get that. Now, I think this may be the first time I've ever used this. I've been doing these lectures for almost 25 years now, and I don't think I've ever shared with any audience in person or online that I am an eachness in the allness. So breathe into that notion and begin to hear that and begin to allow that to kind of settle down inside of you, down inside of your body. It would be the same as if I were to reframe it in scientific terms. I am a field within the field. I am a field within the field. I am a field of consciousness within the vast field of one consciousness. So each and every one of us have this privilege, this opportunity, and I would say this responsibility to begin to awaken to the fact that I am an eachness. I am an individualized field within the great one field of consciousness, so that when we say ideas in unity, well, all is one. Well, all is one is not at the level of form. All is one is at the level of essence, at the level of consciousness, at the level of the all. So God is all. That's the allness. And so if we take our unity principles, God is. First unity principle, God is all. That's the allness. That's the vast, infinite, eternal, all-intelligent field of all that is. It is consciousness itself. And then the second unity principle, I am. So I am an eachness. I'm an individualized field within the allness that is God, principle one. And here in time and space reality, I have been given this field of consciousness to do with as I will. Each of us have that opportunity. And so in unity, we believe that God is, I am, that there are laws that govern all of consciousness in time and space reality, that intention governs all that is, that life is to be lived from center to circumference. So we are not, by virtue of what we are at the deepest level, we are not meant to be governed by externals. We are meant, kind of like, spiders, like that wonderful line from Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. So we love these notions of the power is within us. But you see, we suffer when we do not live that out, as we do not allow that allness to govern our eachness. So right now we hear repeatedly, with all of this that is going on in humanity and all of the chaos of this pandemic, all of this uprising, marginalized people who have been shoved out of, if you will, the quote unquote mainstream. We call for example, minorities, which is really laughable because people of color are not the minority. White people are the minority. But because of what has been evolving, these notions, these blind ideas, that it's in every one of us, and we are evolving until that becomes a governing principle. And as long as there are people who are made less than, we do not know the totality of God. So during these very troubling times, we hear repeatedly that we are all in this together. Have you heard that? I can't imagine how you could have missed that. We are all in this together. And so just for me, I hear that and I hear it repeatedly. And I got to say to you that for me, in this relative realm, that's the good news and it's the bad news, because we're all in this together. So I am an eachness that is plugged into the same global brain of all living beings. We are all parts of this shared humanity. And see, that's already true. We don't have to do, and in fact, we can't do anything that makes that any more true. Now, this is true of our divine nature as well, but we get to a full realization of our divine nature via the human unfolding. So we are all in this together, and I am watching how the majority of the human species, I'm watching how people are showing up or not showing up, how, particularly in this country, how ideology, how political notions, how all of this is being placed before the common good. For example, and wherever you may be in this, that is your eachness. So if I offend you, I got to speak my truth and you get to have your truth. That's part of the eachness. But this whole debate over mask wearing, it's one of the most fascinating things, right? So if there was one iota of truth that even by social distancing, if we do go out, we wear a mask. If there was one tiny iota of an idea that would help, that would save lives, how could we not do that? Because I am an eachness in the allness, and how I show up at any given moment matters. In fact, my consciousness becomes matter. My essence, my energy becomes form. It's not only true for me, it is true for all of us. But you see, we have not been awake to that. We have identified with the form, we have identified with ideology, we have identified with the ego thought system, and we have missed the sense that we is one. And the great awakening is how I show up affects everyone, all living beings. How I show up, what I choose to energize with my attention. It affects all living beings because we are all a part of this field. I am an eachness in the allness, and the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. You've heard that? That is a quantum truth. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So we've talked about this probably more so in classes, but in panentheism, if I had to identify with one particular spiritual thought system, it's closest to that. Panentheism says to us that God is all that is and more. Now, wait, how could that be? God is all that is and more. So we know at the level of the quantum that though God essence is everywhere presence, it is all that is. Here in time and space reality, we are each in the allness. We are each here to magnify the eachness within the allness. We are here to energize consciousness. We are here to pray the way. And so as we do that, as we show up as our highest and our best, as we choose to make the whole greater than just our own personal preferences, comfort, as I use my freedom for the sake of all beings, rather than just, you will not tell me what to do, right? There's the rebellion that we're seeing. You are not going to tell me that I have to wear a mask. Okay. For me? Wait a minute. All living beings, the totality of consciousness, our shared humanity is more important than what I may want to do, than my comfort, than my preference. I'm going to use my freedom in service of all that is. I'm here to be that and more. God is all that is and more. I am here to be the and more. And at this point in human unfolding, we are watching how that has not been true. There is an uprising in consciousness. There are demonstrations and protests, and you know what? That's not my path. I think it's dangerous in terms of this pandemic, but we cannot miss what is happening. What is happening, what is out picturing in human consciousness. We are literally using consciousness, God consciousness. We are misusing the power that is within us. That has been our theme during the month of June, power and dominion. See, we want power over over others. We want power over the world of effects. And see, that's a misuse, as our daily word says. It's not about having power over, it's about using the divine will to serve the something greater. So we can become so fixated. We can allow our spirituality, what we call spirituality, and particularly in New Thought, we can try and use our spirituality to get more of what we want. It is a misuse, if you will, of our power. Now, spiritual law is our provision. So we can use that. We can use a sense of abundance. I want to allow as much abundance as is possible. Yeah, so it supports me, but also so that I can give more. It took me a long time to get that, to realize, oh my God, the more I have, the more I can give. The more power that I own inside of myself, the more that I allow that power to be used in service of something greater than me, than my everyday. And I'm feeling this so profoundly, that every day right now is an opportunity for conscious contribution. Now listen to me, my beloveds, listen to me. We're always using the power. You are making a contribution every moment of your life. You cannot not contribute because you are an eachness within the allness. So we are always emitting energy. Now, we do that at various levels. Like we call our kind of a spirituality New Thought, but see, thought in and of itself does not have much power, and we should be very grateful. Because just think back, like some of the thoughts we have, if that were to become a manifest reality instantly, can you imagine? So feeling that imbues thought becomes a powerful force. And so the more conscious we become in our co-creation, again, back to that daily word, the power of the divine will. Now, July, next month, we're going to look at will, the capability, the capacity of will as part of our co-founder, Charles Fillmore's teaching on what he called the 12 powers. For me, 12 capacities of the one power, which is ultimately love. Next month, we will look at will. But when you look at this wonderful daily word, the use of my spiritual will directs my choices toward a greater awareness of my divine nature. So when I'm coming from willfulness, it is willfulness to say, don't tell me to stay home. Don't you try and tell me to wear a mask. Don't you tell me, don't. So just step back. Well, wait a minute. What if there's something greater than my personal preference? What if you and I are on this planet at this time? Being here right now is purposeful. We are the ones that are meant to be here now. Not to fight, not to become more divided, to uplift each other and to make choices that are in service of something bigger than the personality self. To uplift those who have for centuries been diminished and cast aside. Prejudice is a cancer that has eaten away at the shared humanity for centuries and centuries. And it is time for it to end. And each and every one of us can choose that it end inside of our own individual field. We cannot do that if we just slap a sticker on top of it, a happy sticker that says, we're all one. Well, we're all one at the level of allness. Now it's time to become one at the level of eachness, field by field by field by field, magnified, amplified, right? So that I am an eachness in the allness. All is one. All is one in me. All is one in me. So this quantum notion we hear in sacred writings, where two or more are gathered. Where two or more are gathered, I am there. Now, you can interpret that any way you want. Many would interpret that if they're more of a more traditional notion, though doesn't make it untrue. Like if where two or more gathered, I am, Jesus' words, I am there. That is true. It is also true. You don't have to believe or have any relationship at all with the man Jesus to experience where two or more are gathered, the I am presence, which is the allness becoming the eachness, that is magnified. That is when I choose to join with others. Right now, if you are on here, you are making a contribution. And I want to, it's time. I was watching, I don't watch a lot of TV, but I knew that there was a special on, I was mentioning this before we started the broadcast to Tim and Trish. There was a special on last night. I don't recall the exact name of it, but it was created by a global effort to end poverty and prejudice and to raise funds for those deeply affected by this pandemic, because this pandemic is creating more and more and more poverty. And I was watching that with such a full heart and such awareness that, again, this is just my perspective, but I've been leading spiritual communities for about 25 years, and I've shared this with many people. It is time for us as spiritual beings, as awakening spiritual beings to, I'm going to just say this again, if you're offended, good, because then I'm doing my job. It's time for us to grow up. It's time for us to be grown up by something greater, that we recognize that there's something bigger than personal preference, than my own comfort. There's something bigger that is seeking to emerge, and my consciousness is my contribution. And so if we don't get about the business of really praying, a lot of people are saying, well, it can't get much worse. I think it can. Because if we're misusing the power, we are misusing the power of God itself. That is how we are out picturing what we are out picturing. It is just as easy to stop and say, that's what I thought last night, watching people from all around the world join together, singing songs and giving speeches and rallying together and saying, wait a minute, we're a shared humanity. We're all in this together. What power can we generate? What power are we generating right here, right now, in this moment? What an opportunity. And let me tell you, beloveds, history will judge how we have shown up in this. Maybe not me, Taylor, but I am responsible. Those old scriptures that say, am I my brothers, of course, in the masculine framing, am I the other's keeper? You bet I am. And so we're watching people at their worst. And we are watching people at their best. Which side do you want to be on? Are we going to finally show up and show? Like, I got to just be really authentic with you. Last night, I thought, oh my God, what can I do? Like, how can I make the most impact during this time? How can I serve at the deepest and the highest level? And I thought, I'm going to start my own prayer movement. And I thought, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm the spiritual leader in a prayer movement. But I think there's a whole lot more we can do and be. We can do more. We can recognize that our prayer is our greatest doing, that it is a quantum contribution. And it is time to activate that now. And so the whole is greater, kids. The whole is greater. And each and every prayer, each and every moment, we are responsible to the power that is within us. A whole new world within me now. That's our theme for this year, right? A whole new world within me now. Prayer by prayer by prayer by prayer. I am holding you in the highest. I am knowing, I am energizing, I am invoking that power that is within you. And together, there's nothing we cannot do. Together, we are stronger than we are individually. So if we're all in this together, let's get about it, shall we? Let's get about it. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you so much, Reverend Taylor. I so appreciate that message. I know that we all do in this time. And I just wanted to come to you for just a moment. Thank you all so much for being with us in this way this morning. Please go to our website at unitypalmbeach.com to find out about all sorts of different things that are going on. We have distancing devotionals. We have Zoom classes. Please take part in all of those and be in prayer with us as we move forward in this ministry of prayer. Also on our site at Unity of the Palm Beaches, unitypalmbeach.com, is several ways of your being able to give, to donate, to continue this ministry and move it forward. And we hope that you will take part in that with us as well. Right now, we're going to move back to Taylor for just a moment for our prayer for protection, and then we'll be closing with the peace song. And please sing along if you'd like to. Taylor?
Thank you, Trish. Thank you, Trish. All right, so let's feel. Remember, feeling, imbuing the words. So let's share together. If you want to say it out loud, wherever you are, even if you're by yourself, if it feels silly, good. Because know that your declaration is that power, the dominion of the God force, the eachness in the allness, declaring together. The light of God surrounds me. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds me. I am the love of God. The power of God protects me. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over me, for I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is, and so it is. Amen. Thank you.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow.